Hello everyone, Danny here today to talk to you about the audiobook Hell Bent by Gregg Hurwitz, narrated by Scott Brick. In this video, I'm going to cover the first few books to kind of give a history of who Orphan X is and kind of what to expect from the series. My focus is mostly going to be on this latest book because this is part of the Orphan X or the Nowhere Man series by Gregg Hurwitz. I am going to cover the narrative of the story, the Hell Bent story with the first books. It's going to be kind of a brief overview. With this one, I'll get a bit more into the narrative. The job that Scott Brick does, I mean, really all you got to say is Scott Brick, and everybody knows he did an amazing job. This guy's an amazing narrator. Any content in the book that I think parents should be made aware of, if they're like me and they love listening to audiobooks around their children, we'd take long car rides, listen to them around our children, and I would want to know about some of this stuff before I put it on when the kids were younger. However, before I get started on that, if you love audiobooks and you just seem to have a hard time picking good audiobooks, subscribe, turn on notification down in the comment section. Let me know of any books you'd like me to review for you. I'll listen to the audiobook, I'll post a review, and then you can take it from there. Now, to the book. This is the latest in Gregg Hurwitz Orphan X. I think of it as Orphan X. It's actually called the Nowhere Man series. And Orphan X, the Nowhere Man, it's the same guy. So if you go back and you listen to the first book, which is actually called Orphan X, you'll learn who he is. The first book covers a lot of his history. Orphan X is someone who was an orphan, and as a small boy, I think he was 12 years old, I do believe, but don't quote me on that one. He's recruited into a special government program where he is going to be trained to be an assassin. However, the guy who is in charge of his training doesn't quite want to follow the company line. The company line is that they want to turn all of these highly trained killers into just emotionless, conscienceless beings who pretty much enjoy killing and torturing and have no qualms about doing that. Well, his name's Jack. I can't remember his last name. Sorry. Anyhow, he's in charge of getting Orphan X trained and up to speed. And he instead wants to make sure that Orphan X doesn't lose his humanity. He tells Orphan X, training you to kill. That's not the hard part. That's the easy part. Training you to kill without losing your humanity. That's the hard part. And so he puts all these rules or commandments in place that he teaches the boy that are to help him retain his humanity. Now, each book has kind of the same structure. In each book, what happens is Orphan X at some point in time decides to leave the program. So he leaves, Jack helps him leave the program and sets him up, with a special government account. He has to go underground because now that he's left the program, they'll kill him if they can find him. And he sets himself up as a Nowhere Man. So basically what he's done is he's found someone who needed his help, who needed someone with the skill set that he has. He's gone in, he's helped them for free. And the only payment he requires from them, once he's got their problem solved, the only payment he requires from them is that they find one more person and only one person. And then they give them his phone number and tell them to contact him. And his phone number is 1-800-555-2-NOWHERE. 1-800-2-NOWHERE. Anyhow, something like that. Anyhow, give them that phone number and he's got everything set up and he's all underground and secret from the government. Well, each book, you'll kind of have two stories that'll go along with each other, and there may even be a good bit of crossover in them. One will be him helping whoever the latest person he's helping is, and the other will be the government hunting for him, trying to kill him. Now, in this latest one, Hellbent, in the first book, Orphan X or Evan Smoak believes that Jack is dead. I don't remember if it's the first book or the second book. It's been a while since I've listened to those. He discovers that Jack is still alive, and he has some problems with the fact that Jack has misled him for as long as he's misled him. Well, now the book Hellbent starts off, and there's going to be some spoilers here, but not too bad. Starts off with Jack dying, and basically Jack is dying to protect Orphan X. And at the same time, as he's dying, he manages to give Orphan X a mission. And that mission is to protect another orphan that Jack has rescued. Well, Orphan X is kind of torn here because helping this person out is a lot like what he normally does when he's helping someone out as a nowhere man. And one of the commandments is one mission at a time. So what's he going to do if his phone rings and it's for the nowhere man? How's he going to do both at the same time? And sure enough, eventually that does happen. And it's someone who wants him to rescue them from MS-13. And the way that Evan, or Orphan X, manages to use the two problems to completely solve one of the problem and knock down a bit of the opposing players on the other problem is something that I did not see coming at all. There's a scene in the book where Orphan X does something that just seems completely stupid, and you're like, why did he do that? What in the world is he thinking doing that? And then you learn. And there's a scene where he's facing off with MS-13, and he tells him all that he's going to kill him, and then he pulls out what he's going to kill him with, and it's hilarious. I mean, I'm driving down the freeway, laughing my fool head off because it's absolutely hilarious. And the best part is it works. One of the things I really like with the Orphan X series, and it's this way in all three of the books, Evan Smoak has kind of set up this life around himself in this apartment building, and he's tried to wall himself off from the people around him. Well, you can't wall yourself off from everybody around you in an apartment building. So there's interaction with the apartment building, with people in it, and because Orphan X has managed to retain his humanity, there's a big part of him that wants to reach out and be a part of these people, wants to find love, wants to have a normal life. And that's a part of every book, him dealing with that, him dealing with those emotions and things like that, as well as the action and the violence and everything else, which are a major part of these books. Scott Brick narrates them. Come on. The guy's an amazing, amazing narrator. Yeah. Perfect choice. Love Scott Brick as a narrator. Nothing else needs to be said there. Definitely, though, there's language. And while it's not excessive, there are characters in the book who use an excessive amount of foul language. There's some... there's one assassin. So there are people who reoccur in each of the series. Some of the government types that are trying to hunt him reoccur in each of the series. And there's one of those assassins that is hunting him in particular, that has a vulgar sexual side to her. That's how she gets to her people, and she loves to flaunt her sexuality and can be quite vulgar and crass as well. In this latest book, Hellbent, a major question gets answered. Why are they hunting so hard for Orphan X? You find out why. You find out who's behind it. And it opens up a big question mark for future books and the direction that future books are going to take with this new information. Because if Orphan X is going to go after the person who's instigated the hunt, is he going to be able to do that and be the nowhere man at the same time? Or is he just going to have to dedicate himself to that and drop the nowhere man line? That's a question for a future book. Gonna have to wait and see. This is for, this kind of assassin thriller kind of a genre, this is one of my favorite series. I love Orphan X, kind of the world he's created for himself. You learn about all kinds of interesting, you know, he's a vodka aficionado, and so I had no clue there were so many massively expensive, fancy kinds of vodka. Didn't know that. I would love to have his bed. It's just this cool magnety kind of a bed thingamabobber. Anyhow, it's a great book. Wonderful. I love the book. Very curious to see the direction that Gregg Hurwitz takes the next book in the series. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like my channel, subscribe. Turn on notifications. Questions, comments, feedback, it's what the comment section are for. Put them in there. But most importantly, no matter what else you do today, make sure that today you listen to at least one really good book. And I highly recommend Hellbent by Gregg Hurwitz. Thank you.